AITA for forcing my family to babysit, so I won't have to. I'm 19F. Living at home, working a part-time job, doing some freelance stuff and taking some online courses, all in preparation for attending college next year. My sister, 25F, had her first child 8 months ago. The father isn't involved and only pays CS. My mom is excited to have her first grandchild and is constantly offering to look after the baby so my sister can feel at ease working full-time and afterwards will have some time for herself to relax. The thing is, about 70% of the time I'll be the one looking after the baby, and while I admit that I enjoy it and like spending time with him, I can't help but feel mad because they don't have any consideration for my time. Mom would drop the baby while I'm in the middle of my lessons because you can always watch the recordings later or just ask someone to tell you what it was about. Or when I'm working in my freelance stuff because looking after the baby doesn't really require much when I complain about getting delayed in my projects. My breaking point happened last week when my mother and sister left the baby with me for a whole day because I mistakenly told them I didn't have to work and would be staying at home to catch up with some pending stuff and study. I told them both irresponsible and they called me a spoiled brat. That night, my grandma and other members of the extended family were calling and sending me messages about the importance of helping family and to understand that my sister doesn't have it easy being a single mom. I got mad and sent a message to the family group chat saying that they were right. Helping family is important and we all should be supportive of my sister. I then proceeded to write a schedule in which all of us could take care of the baby. Because one aunt goes to visit grandma on Mondays and Wednesdays mornings, they could babysit those days. Eldest cousin and her siblings are at their home Fridays afternoon. Well, they can babysit that time. And so on. I left Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings as my time to babysit. My sister and my mom were very pleased with the arrangement. The other family, not so much. And when someone pointed out that my sister didn't get the baby for a whole day, discussions about my sister being an irresponsible mother started, with my mother trying to defend her. AITA for causing this. How come they were expecting me to be my sister's unpaid nanny, but then they get offended when the same thing is being forced on them? I may be the because I caused this and don't regret it one bit. Update, okay, a lot of things happened. Honestly, I'm still not in the mood to provide a full update. The main points are, my sister did try to impose the babysitting schedule I made and the family wasn't happy. Mom, sis and I had a big discussion, hurtful things were said on both ends and I'm currently staying with my BFF and his GF, total sweethearts, but not a feasible long-term arrangement, even though they have said I could stay with them as long as I need. The family is complaining non-stop and I'm feeling guilty because technically, I'm the one who caused this by creating the schedule in the first place. Maybe I should just sucked it up, and I do really feel sorry for my nephew. All the family usually gets together on Sundays and this time my grandma's eldest daffer, mom's eldest sister, is coming from another state. This is kind of like a big thing since she's grandma's golden child, in a good way, and kind of like the leader of the family. I'm both hopeful and nervous. If someone can solve this shit show is her, but at the same time I'm worried about her blaming me like everyone else. I'll provide a full update then. Also, sorry for not having the time to answer all the comments and PMs, like I said, a lot of things happened. But here's some of the questions some people asked. My job, I work part-time at a kids after-school academy. We tutor them at the subjects they find hard and help them do their homework and prepare for tests. My freelance job is video/audio editing for my BFF and his GF. Both are streamers/content creators. They know about my Reddit post but asked me to leave out their personal details, so please don't ask for their accounts. I do one weekly video for her, and 1 or 2 for him. Do I pay rent? No, I don't. Dad had a hard time with his family, and while my sis and I didn't know the details and are NC with them, we kind of imagine what went down. Dad left the house to mom and make her promise to make it a safe place for us, sis and I. They decided to accept us for paying rent as long as we cover for us expenses ourselves. Sister and I cover our groceries, cell phones, some services, and I pay part of their gas whenever they give me a ride because I don't have a car. For extended family, as I said, we are NC with Dad's family. Mom, 50Y, is the third of 4 siblings, eldest aunt, eldest uncle, deceased, was the father of the cousins I mentioned in my first post, and young uncle, 39Y, single. Grandma is currently 77 yo. 5. My nephew's dad, he and my sister were together for about 2 years. When she found out she was pregnant and wished to keep the baby, the relationship ended, as he is child-free. A paternity test was conducted after my nephew was born and he was the father. He pays CSS, has no contact with the baby. His parents, nephew's paternal GM and GF, do keep in touch, and by what I was told, them along with the rest of their family didn't approve of his actions regarding my sister and nephew. So far, they don't know what's going on, and I didn't involve them in the initial babysitting schedule because I'm sure that would have been another whole shit show. So now let's dive into the update. Update: AITA for forcing my family to babysit, so I won't have to. I'm not sure how to post an update. If you want to know the full story, is my profile. There's an edit there with some more relevant information and questions you asked. A lot of things happened and I'm finally in the mood to write the update. So here it goes. My sister did follow my schedule for babysitting that involved our extended family, and well, they weren't happy. 2 days after my post, she left my nephew with one of our aunts. Aunt, was meeting some friends for brunch and had to take baby with her. Baby was fussy and crying and she had to come home early. Aunt was understandably pissed off. I had agreed to babysit the next day, and that's when things began going downhill. My nephew is used to be with me, but this time he was very fussy and coughing and I thought something was odd. Mom wasn't home and I tried to call her, but she didn't answer it until about 2 hours later. She came home, checked my nephew, and he had a light fever. Of course, we called my sister and she blamed our aunt for taking out the baby. How dare she have a life while being forced to babysit? She accused our aunt in the family chat and a whole discussion blew up. Suddenly, my mom and sister remembered I was the one who involved the whole family with the babysitting schedule, and then I was the one at fault. That was my breaking point. I ended up yelling my sister that she was negligent and a part-time mother for my nephew. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it. NGL. My mother countered that if my dad, he passed away 5 years ago, listened to me, he would have been very disappointed me. That killed me because I was really close to him and he always put family above all. Still, I was mad, so I said that I expected my sister to reimburse me the amount I took out from my college fund in full. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it. NGL. Some info: when my sister and I were born, Dad and Mom set up a college fund for each of us. Dad always encouraged us to study and improve ourselves, and when my nephew was born, I took $5,000 from my fund to start one for him to honor my dad, as I'm sure he would have done the same. After that, I packed a bag and took an Uber to my BF's department. I told him what happened, and he and his GF invited me to stay with them as long as I needed. I blocked my mother, sister, and the rest of the family and spent the following days both avoiding them and worrying about my nephew. Last Friday, I received a call from an unknown number. It was one of my eldest aunt daughters. She and her family live in another state, so they mostly follow the drama from afar. My cousin told me they were coming to visit and my aunt was going to have a serious chat with all of us. NGL, I was really nervous. I think I mentioned this on my previous post. My mom, 50 years, is the third of 4 siblings. We'll call them Rose, eldest aunt; Mario, eldest uncle, deceased, father of the cousins I mentioned on my first post; my mom, and John, youngest uncle. There's also Jane, Mario's widow, and the aunt that I mentioned in this post that took out the baby. Rose is pretty much my grandma's golden child, in a good way, the second mother to her siblings and overall a very strong woman. She and her husband have 5 adopted children, and due to the complicated logistics, my uncle and 2 of his sons are doctors, and the youngest of that set of cousins is at college. So to hear that they are suddenly coming over was a very big deal. Sunday came. My BF and his GF accompanied me to Grandma's house for moral support. Rose and her family were already there, and I spent most of the time avoiding my mom and sis. Deep down I knew she wouldn't dare to yell or call me out in front of Rose, as she's scared of making her angry. After some hours, Rose finally addressed the elephant in the room. It was a long, emotive discussions, and we all ended up crying, so I'll sum up the main points. Baby nephew is a human being, not a stray puppy to be passed around. He needs some stability. Stop with the "if you called for to / wish to have a child. Why did you have it?" comments. Nephew is here and he's not going anywhere. Let's focus on solutions. To my sis, as a mother, you need to learn to put your child first, and while it's okay to rely on help sometimes, don't do it all the time. It's bad for the baby and the others involved. To my mother, stop enabling her. To the rest of the family, unless you're willing to offer some solutions, don't meddle in other people's affairs. To me, about the babysitting schedule, well done kiddo, and I cried in relief. My sister then admitted that while she loves my nephew, she felt unfit to be a mother and wasn't fully conscious of the responsibility it would take to raise him. Apparently, my mother was aware of that, and her response was to make me babysit my nephew in order to make my sister feel less stressed out. And yes, to make me hopefully change my mind about having kinds in the future. Rose also talked to Mom about that. Rose then said that, worst case scenario, she and my cousins talked and either her eldest son and daughter were willing to adopt my nephew. Apparently, both discussed it with respective spouses and all on board if it came to that. To be honest, while it's good that my nephew would be in a loving and safe home, Rose and my cousins are amazing people, it would hurt not seeing him as often anymore. Rose emphasized to my sister to think it carefully and that if it came to that, it would be a permanent adoption, not a daycare service where she could dump him for days/weeks and then pick him up later. That's mainly it. My sister will be seeing a therapist next week. Mom and I have apologized, and I clarified I didn't actually want it to be reimbursed for the money in nephew's college fund. Also, some members of the extended family also apologized for pressuring me to babysit in the first place. I'm back at my house and have compromised to babysit 3 times a week, all according to my personal schedule and for a reasonable period of time. During one of those 3 times, my sister will be joining me, as she admitted she felt she didn't really know my nephew and haven't really bonded with him. So, since the baby is somewhat attached to me, the 3 of us will be spending some time together. Overall, I think it was a good resolution, but time will tell. I really hope my sis will improve and be the mom my nephew deserves. Thank you all for the support in the comments whenever I felt that what I did was wrong. Your comments really help to lessen the guilt, and some of you even make me laugh. Hopefully, this will be my last update. So, thank you all. Relevant comments. Soggy Milk 1005. Rose is the best and she's right, good job kiddo. You're the most mature even with the things you regret saying, responsible family member, besides Rose and her kids. I hope your sister is really committed to bonding with your nephew and I hope therapy helps her. Keep standing up for yourself and your nephew. Next. Padam_Padam. Aunt Rose saw your implemented scheduling idea as a solution. It was scary to stand up to family, yet for your peace of mind, you did it. I'm happy for you too. And I honestly don't know if I will have your same will if I had to find it for my hypothetical family drama. I'm also happy you and your mom were able to reconcile too. I hope your sister will commit to a decision that is best for her son. I almost said poor kid, his mother doesn't want him, but really he is loved by your family and it's unfortunate that we can't say the same for other babies and children as well. While he may be given up for adoption, he is loved and will be fine, and that makes this outsider happy for him. Next. I wish IOL 2024. Also, stop believing what your mother says about your dad. Your dad is a good man that is in the past. He wouldn't be disappointed because there are many that would be different if he was there. You might also not say sorry to your sister. You have feelings too. She is the one that should be apologizing. Your mom is enabling her because she feels someone own her the same things. Your mom also wished someone had take care of her like she is doing with your sister. But she is doing it the wrong way. So who is the a-hole? Next story. Update for telling my husband's affair baby's family to either come get the kid or I'm calling CPS. I am no longer divorcing Roger. There were complications from his heart attack and he has passed away. I am conflicted. He was the love of my love but also a cheating piece of trash. To the best of my knowledge, the mother will not return from Europe. The child is currently with her parents. They asked me what I wanted to do. I recommended adoption. Not that I adopt the child. That they put the child up for adoption. They didn't like that suggestion. Neither did my children. They said I'm being cold and cruel. I suggested that since the child was related to them and not to me, that they step up. Neither has accepted that suggestion either. I was the sole beneficiary of Roger's estate, so I imagine lawyers will be involved in getting the child some sort of support. I will pay whatever is ordered by the court out of the estate. I will not pay 1 cent out of my money. That is all I have to say on this matter. AITA for not telling my ex-wife that I reversed my vasectomy. My ex-wife, Jen, 38F, and I, 42M, were married for 8 years before divorcing during the pandemic 4 years ago. We have 2 kids together, 13M and 10F, who we share custody of and co-parent well together. At her suggestion, I got a vasectomy after our daughter was born. I got remarried about a year ago to my new wife, Carrie, 34F. Carrie does not have kids but has always wanted a family. After many discussions prior to our engagement, I agreed to reverse my vasectomy to try to start a family with Carrie. I had the reversal procedure done just after our wedding. Carrie and I found out about a month ago that she is pregnant. She is currently about 15 weeks. We have not told anyone about the pregnancy until recently. I wanted to wait until I had an opportunity to tell my kids in person that they are going to have a younger sibling. Now that they are done with school, I had that chance this past weekend. Both of my kids were very excited and happy to hear the news. They get along great with Carrie and are excited to have a new baby bro/sister. After I told the kids, they wanted to call their mom and tell her about it too. I was a little apprehensive because I didn't know how Jen would react and tried to convince them to let me tell her first, but my son ended up telling her via text before that. Jen sent me a text a few minutes later basically asking me WTF I was thinking. I texted her back saying that I would prefer not to have this conversation over text and asked if she was free for a chat. She said she wasn't and sent a flurry of texts asking me a bunch of questions. I again told her I would prefer to have this conversation in person or on the phone. She finally called me later that night and was not happy. She told me that I should have told her I reversed my vasectomy so that she could talk to our kids about it. I told her that my body and my life with Carrie is not her business and that neither of our kids even know I had a vasectomy, let alone know what a vasectomy is. I've never told them I had one, so why would I tell them I reversed it? She told me that since this is going to have a huge impact on our kids' lives, that I should have told her about it first. She said that it is her business when it will directly impact our kids. I told her that it is my body and that my health choices are of no concern to her anymore. The conversation started getting heated and I ended the call before things got too far. Jen has since calmed down and did send a text congratulating me and Carrie. But she still maintains that I should have notified her of my decision to reverse my vasectomy before things got to a point where Carrie is pregnant. She thinks that she had a right to know since it will impact our kids. I think she has no right to any information regarding what I decide to do with my body unless it is life-threatening. My marriage and life with Carrie is not information that my ex-wife has any right to. AITA for refusing to give up my seat for a pregnant woman on a 12-hour flight. I, 28 am, recently took a 12-hour flight from NYC to Hawaii flight. I had paid for a Comfort Plus seat, which costed me about $200 extra plus points. About 15 minutes before takeoff, a visibly pregnant woman was escorted towards the front of the plane by a flight attendant. Her and the flight attendant look around for a moment, talk a bit, and then true attendant approached me asking if I would be willing to switch seats with the pregnant woman due to her condition. I politely declined. I explained that I had specifically booked this seat because I'm pretty long, I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall, and that I needed the extra comfort and space. The attendant seemed understanding and went to ask other passengers near me, but no one volunteered. I felt like I was the only one giving her any attention. The pregnant lady then told me I wouldn't understand what it feels like to be a woman carrying a baby in this summer heat, got upset and eventually had to return to her seat in the back. Throughout the flight, I felt awkward passing by her every time on the way to the bathroom. When I landed, I couldn't help but feel guilty. I'm a young man without the burden of carrying a child in me and totally could have sacrificed a bit, and wondered if I had been wrong to prioritize my comfort over someone who might have needed it more. So, AITA for refusing to give up my seat for this pregnant woman on a long-haul flight. Edit. To clarify, sorry I left this detail out. Delta would have reimbursed me for the extra cost via voucher, so that my ticket would have been the cost of the normal economy ticket. I'm not certain if the pregnant lady would have had to pay extra to switch with me cause I just politely declined a few times and we didn't get into that level of detail. But I was so excited for the vacation and I'm 6 feet 4 inches and really need the leg room. Relevant comments. Tishers. NTA. She had the option of purchasing a more comfortable seat. Unless Delta was willing to compensate you for the seat swap, I would not expect you to just gift her your seat. I had done seat swaps before and United always took care of me. I pay extra for the better seats and do not want it to be crunched into some cubbyhole for 12 hours. Next comment. Melodic Heron 1585. Lol. I traveled to Germany while pregnant. Guy in middle seat was upset that he was too big for the seat extender to work comfortably without both armrests being up. Demanded that he get switched to my all seat. I told him he wouldn't appreciate having to get up every 20 minutes so that I could use the restroom. He then called flight attendant and inquired about a vacant seat in business class. Problem solved, they moved me. Next. Not yet ready to retire 3 hours ago. I'm also 6 feet 4 inches, but much older. They keep cramming more and more seats into the same space. My poor old legs just won't tolerate it. So later this summer, I'll be driving from Ohio to the West Coast instead of flying. I also don't see why failure to plan on her part should cause you to be inconvenienced. It's not like being obviously pregnant just suddenly happened in the last few days before the flight. So what would you say? AITA? Please write your opinion in the comments, thanks. AITA for telling my husband that he failed me and our child. I've been with my husband for 8 years now. For the first 7 years, we planned heavily because we both wanted a child, but we needed to make sure we had everything just right because I was very firm in the fact that I would never be okay with sending our child to daycare. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. He 100% agreed. We bought the house, we built the nursery, we saved every penny we could afford to save, etc. Right now we are sitting on a very nice nest egg of just over $150,000. I got pregnant in December 2022. I gave birth in the very beginning of September. It has been an absolute shit show since then. So to kick off, within the first 2 months of me giving birth and having severe PPD, he decides to make a completely out of the blue career change. I urge him to go get checked by his PCP for PPD, because surely something must be wrong to be making such a life-changing decision with zero warning so soon after I give birth. He refuses. Insists that he is fine but that his career is all of a sudden too much and it's taking too much time away from bonding with the baby. Literally a normal 40 hours work week, but he was getting pissed because for the last 2 weeks of his employment, his boss had been asking that he works 4 hours every Saturday, his normal day off, but it's only 4 hours. So, he quits. He gets a job elsewhere 2 days later and takes a $4.50 per hour pay cut. Okay, no big deal. Except now he has to pay $160 out of each paycheck for the mandatory benefits and work fees. That doesn't include taxes. He also has been working 6 days a week, versus the 5 that he was working. So less time at home, but, well, they said I could probably get manager, so I guess it's okay. He is bringing in no more than $300 a paycheck, in comparison to the $600 plus paychecks he was getting. Our bills are almost $2,000 a month. Therefore we have had to pay out of our savings every single month and it adds up quick. Well, here's where I may be an asshole. Bills are obviously due soon. I asked him how much money he had set aside for the bills so I could work through the numbers. He tells me that he wasn't able to save anything for bills and he literally has $4 in his account. Meaning come the first, all of the bill money will be coming out of our savings. He tells me maybe you need to start looking for a job. My mom will probably watch the baby. I just don't fucking say anything because I know I'm going to explode. His mom comes here this morning and he runs it by her, without even getting my approval, which would absolutely be a hard no because I'm quite certain she's early stages of dementia, and she goes no, but I know a daycare that has openings and proceeds to call them and tell them that we want to enroll our daughter. I speak up and say no, I'm not putting the baby in daycare. I'm also not having her watch the baby. It's not happening and my husband needs to figure it out. My mill then tells me that it's not fair that I won't come up with solutions to help her son, who is clearly struggling. I snap. I tell her that it is not my job to come up with solutions for a man who failed me and our child. We had everything planned. We had the money. We figured this out and spent years figuring it out before coming to this point. Now he is going against the plan. He decided to quit his job. He refused to get help when I urged him to. He didn't save any of his paychecks for bills. This is on him 100%. Before anyone could respond, I went inside and packed an overnight bag for both me and the baby and told him I'd be going to my mother's house until he got his shit together and got his head on straight. He is mostly texting me saying that he can't believe I think he is failing us. But his mother is blowing up my phone saying that I'm a dumb cunt and that plans change, and since I'm married to her son and Hess the only one working, that he should be the final say in what happens from this point forward. AITA. Edit spelling. Relevant comments. Blue sky. 1. Cloud. How did you manage to buy a house, build a nursery, and save $150,000 in 7 years when it sounds like he's never made much above minimum wage? Are there some zeros missing or added somewhere? Next comment. OK_boat_1243. I would suggest you calculate how much you contributed to the savings and put the money aside if he has access to it. Keep evidence of all interactions with him and his mother. The messages sound horrendous, but you'll need the proof to support any following court proceedings, so do not block them and back everything up. Communicate via message where possible so you have a record of everything. If your name is on your previous home, see if you can end the lease if you are renting. You have to prioritize yourself and your child. Your husband has proven to be unreliable and he isn't thinking about his family with you, allowing his mother to lead him astray. I'm sorry this has happened to you. AITA for forcing my family to babysit, so I won't have to. I'm 19F. Living at home, working a part-time job, doing some freelance stuff and taking some online courses, all in preparation for attending college next year. My sister, 25F, had her first child 8 months ago. The father isn't involved and only pays CS. My mom is excited to have her first grandchild and is constantly offering to look after the baby so my sister can feel at ease working full-time, and afterwards will have some time for herself to relax. The thing is, about 70% of the time I'll be the one looking after the baby, and while I admit that I enjoy it and like spending time with him, I can't help but feel mad because they don't have any consideration for my time. Mom would drop the baby while I'm in the middle of my lessons because you can always watch the recordings later or just ask someone to tell you what it was about. Or when I'm working in my freelance stuff, because looking after the baby doesn't really require much when I complain about getting delayed in my projects. My breaking point happened last week when my mother and sister left the baby with me for a whole day because I mistakenly told them I didn't have to work and would be staying at home to catch up with some pending stuff and study. I told them both irresponsible and they called me a spoiled brat. That night my grandma and other members of the extended family were calling and sending me messages about the importance of helping family and to understand that my sister doesn't have it easy being a single mom. I got mad and sent a message to the family group chat saying that they were right, helping family is important and we all should be supportive of my sister. I then proceeded to write a schedule in which all of us could take care of the baby. Because one aunt goes to visit grandma on Mondays and Wednesdays mornings, they could babysit those days. eldest cousin and her siblings are at their home Fridays afternoon. Well, they can babysit that time. And so on. I left Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings as my time to babysit. My sister and my mom were very pleased with the arrangement. The other family, not so much. And when someone pointed out that my sister didn't get the baby for a whole day, discussions about my sister being an irresponsible mother started, with my mother trying to defend her. AITA for causing this. How come they were expecting me to be my sister's unpaid nanny, but then they get offended when the same thing is being forced on them? I may be the because I caused this and don't regret it one bit. Update, okay, a lot of things happened. Honestly, I'm still not in the mood to provide a full update. The main points are, my sister did try to impose the babysitting schedule I made and the family wasn't happy. Mom, sis and I had a big discussion, hurtful things were said on both ends, and I'm currently staying with my BFF and his GF, total sweethearts, but not a feasible long-term arrangement, even though they have said I could stay with them as long as I need. The family is complaining non-stop and I'm feeling guilty because technically, I'm the one who caused this by creating the schedule in the first place. Maybe I should just sucked it up, and I do really feel sorry for my nephew. All the family usually gets together on Sundays, and this time my grandma's eldest daffer, mom's eldest sister, is coming from another state. This is kind of like a big thing since she's grandma's golden child, in a good way, and kind of like the leader of the family. I'm both hopeful and nervous. If someone can solve this shit show, is her, but at the same time I'm worried about her blaming me like everyone else. I'll provide a full update then. Also, sorry for not having the time to answer all the comments and PMs. Like I said, a lot of things happened. But here's some of the questions some people asked. For more stories, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks.